Hello everyone! So we are from the third group. Our members are Elza, Rivaldo, Rolani, and Shintya. For these lessons, we will talk about recount text.
Understanding recount text, or what is recount text? As we have spelled a little above, recount text is a text that retells events or events in the past. The story can be in the form of action or activity before someone writes the text. In English, recount text is a text which recounts events or experiences in the past. Without realizing it, we must often tell past experience in everyday life. For example, telling about vacation activities, participating in competitions, and much more.
The purpose of recount text. Each text has its own purpose. Every context, the goal is to provide information about an incident to the reader or to entertain the reader.
For the next is generic structure. The first is orientation. Do you realize that most of the texts will start with orientation? In Indonesian, it means orientation or introduction. Of course, the content of orientation is information about the character, location, and time of events. The second is series of events. Are you familiar with the word events? Yes, event is an event, while series means series. In this section, the writer will write down a series of events that they experience. The third is reorientation. In making recount text, the end of a story is called reorientation. In this section, the author will provide a summary and conclusion of the whole story as well as tell the ending. It can be sad or happy. If there is, the author will also add impressions and messages for readers.
And now is dealing with features. So the first is using simple past tense. The second is using specific participant. Recount text is also closely related to specific participants, namely something that has a certain object, is not general in nature, and is unique. There's only one. The third is using personal participant. Personal participant, for example, like I, my group, my family, my friend, and etc. In recount text, usually the personal participant will appear in the orientation section as an introduction to the character in the story. The fourth is using action verbs. Action verbs are verbs that refer to action that you take and can be seen by other people. The fifth is using linking verbs. It's still a matter of verbs as a text that tells a series of events. Of course, it cannot be separated from linking verbs, namely verbs that connect the subject and description. The sixth is using chronological connections or sequence connective. A chronological connections, also known as chronological connector or connector of sequence, is a conjunction used to express the sequence in which events occur. The seventh is using conjunction. Conjunction is part of speech whose job is to connect two words, phrases, or sentences. Example of conjunction in recount text are and, or, until, although, while, but, and many more. The eighth, using adverbs. Adverbs provides more information or describes in more detail than verbs, adjective, and other words. Example, extremely, carefully, slowly, and etc. The ninth, using adverbial phrases. What is the differences between adverbial phrases and adverb? At first glance, it's hard to tell the differences. An adverbial phrase is a phrase that is an adverb. If the adverb is part of sentence whose function to explain the whole sentence, it is a verb, an adjective, or other adverb, while an adverbial phrase is part of an adverb but not always one word and is usually part of clauses or phrases. The 10 is using time connectives and sequence connectives. If you look again at point number 6 and 7, there are part of the connectives. The time connectives, for example, are in the meantime, the next day, and etc.
Okay, I will explain about the types of recount text. The first is a personal recount. Personal recount text is a type of the text that aims to tell about the author's personal experience. Personal recount is the most common type that is often found in recount writing. The second is factual recount. Have you ever heard of this type of text? Factual recount text is a story to present reports related to events that occur based on facts actually happen. So, this is not fixed on personal events. It could also be the events of other people. Examples include reports about science experiments and science or police reports. The third is imaginative recount. Not only narrative text, recount text also has an imaginative type. Imaginative recount is a text that is usually used by someone as a story from an imaginative event that is experienced by someone. For example, recount text which tells the author experience about the fantasy he got from a dream. The fourth and last, historical accounts. Historical recount is a form of recount text whose contents tell historical events. In essence, this text is a historical story in English. It's but different from narrative.
Now, for the example, in this lesson, we will focus on the personal recount. So, we will see two recount texts of the personal experience. Here we go. This two of the text is about the personal experience that already happened in the past. The first is about hunting folklore and the second is about theater performance for school exams. That's all for our lesson today. We hope it will help you to write your own recount text. Thank you. See you next time.